How cool. Yeah. Awesome. So we're live on both places, and um, how it works is people will just tune in if they see us coming up in their feed and they're interested in learning more about um, the growing use of psychedelics in therapy. And I'm with Dr. Dana Lerman today. And I'm so excited to talk to you and share this with people because, as you know, I'm a therapist and we work together regularly to support your clients that are doing their ketamine treatments. And I just had a client leave my office who has had huge benefits from ketamine treatments. And I've worked with many of your clients already that went in with all kinds of issues, depression, even some suicidal stuff going on, like really heavy stuff that us
Mhm.
humans deal with. And their Western medication wasn't really cutting it. Like we all
Mhm.
try the Western meds that we get. And
The conventional
yeah,
Western meds.
conventional, right? Yeah. Now, it seems like people are trying something different, and it's really helping. So, yeah, I'd just love to hear more about, you know, ketamine and how it's serving people and your
Yeah,
story.
yeah. No, there are a lot of different medicines, and I think it's so great that we have access to some of them. Unfortunately, not many of them are more difficult to um, to get, and you have to sometimes leave the country for some medicines. But
Right.
ketamine is a Western medicine, and I think that it's really been so amazing that we've basically repurposed this medication that has initially been used in the battlefield and wartime anesthesia, and it's used in veterinary medicine, and typically it's used in anesthesia, big cases, small cases, for kids, adults. And over the last several years, they've really found that it has a real place in mental health, for depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD. Really, I enjoy using it the most for suicidality because it's very clear when someone is suicidal and then they're not. It's
Yes.
very obvious. And you have so often I have clients come into my office and they can't even look me in the face. They're just so sad, and they really truly want to not be here anymore. And
Yes.
then when they leave, and it's not every time that it just works just like that. I mean, sometimes it takes a few sessions, but and then you see their face, and you open the door and they're standing there smiling at you, and it's just like a completely different person.
Yeah.
And it's really the most rewarding medicine that I have used in my career. And I've been not a psychedelic provider. I've been an infectious disease doctor for over a decade. So I, while the medicines I got to use were very powerful and saved a lot of lives, it's very different. Different kind of wound.
Right. Yeah. Well, can you say a little bit more about your history as a doctor in the mainstream medicine system?
Yeah, sure. I was I am an internal medicine physician and board certified internal medicine and infectious disease. I was trained in New York City and in the Bronx. And I worked as an infectious disease physician for over a decade. I enjoyed it. I liked trying to figure out what was wrong with people. And many times people call infectious disease because they don't, you know, you don't just call infectious disease immediately. Pe- Many physicians have already been in contact with the patient, and then that you call infectious disease when several people can't really figure it out or need additional help. So it's really fun to be in that environment. You're really needed. And so I did that for a very long time in many different places because I've moved around with my husband's career. He's a orthopedic oncologist, so we've moved around a lot. And each place that I've moved, I've gotten a job, and so I've worked at Hopkins in Baltimore, and in the Bronx, and in Park City, Utah, and in Salt Lake there, and here in Denver, and and I thought I really liked my job, honestly, but I
Right.
felt like something was missing. I felt this feeling, and I wasn't able to identify what I was actually feeling until really recently. And what was happening to me was I was feeling helpless.
Mm.
And I felt like I had this big bag of tools with all my antibiotics and I could, help all these different people. But I've had this feeling that I just wasn't getting to the root. I wasn't really getting in there. I was just kind of bandaging bigger things, right? So I would have patients with HIV coming in with horrible infections, and I would have IV drug abusers with necrotizing fasciitis and losing limbs and different really big infectious diseases. But I'm not helping. I can treat those infections, but I'm not helping what's leading them to get those infections. Like, what is going on?
Treating symptoms versus root
Yeah.
cause. Mm.
Right. So I really am about root cause and foundation. And I want to address the foundation of really every institution, whether it's education or death and dying. I mean, many of our institutions really need a shake up, shake down, whatever you want to call it, at the foundational level. And mental health is one of those spaces. So, I mean, I would. Um, so then I identified that I had this overwhelming feeling of helplessness, um, and that's what it was. Is that I couldn't really access. I couldn't really help people on a deeper level. So then coronavirus happened. We'll fast forward to I don't even know when it was, but March. And I was at Rose Hospital, and our hospital was one of the first hospitals to get hit with COVID, one of the
Mm.
first in the country. Um, and I was a provider there, and I was on the initial phone calls with the CDC. I mean, back in the day, early coronavirus, we were on a phone call with a few doctors, Washington and New York, and talking about what we were actually seeing. And now those calls I don't think they exist anymore, but they got so big that they had to not let anyone speak anymore. But
Right.
I was on from the very beginning and just learning about the virus and how it was going to just basically slaughtering people. I mean, we watched what happened in Italy. We knew it was coming here, but no one would listen. And you kind of just, again, that feeling of hopelessness and being out of control. So we, at Rose Hospital, we had a lot of all the things that you would read about in the news were happening at Rose Hospital. My colleagues were on ventilators. I was treating them. We had husbands and wives sharing the same room. One of them's dying. We had people sharing ventilators. I mean, horrendous things, right?
Right.
And then I just was, I couldn't really do it anymore. I just
Mm.
was burned out and broken down and feeling like shit. So, in the middle of the pandemic, I got my vaccine and I went to Costa Rica and did ayahuasca. Um, and I showed up there. The person that I was when I showed up there was, you can't even call it type A New York control freak. It was beyond that. It was whatever that is. That's like way beyond that. That was me. I was judgmental. If you didn't see things how I saw them, didn't have a moment for you.
Very attached to your views.
I just wildly attached.
Your way or the highway.
You're my way or the highway. And I was also dealing with my dad. Is a very intense Trump supporter. And
Mm.
so I would kind of come out of the hospital with, having young people dying. And, then my dad is kind of like having we're going to go to a rally and we're all these different things. So that was very difficult to navigate that personally also. And then, so I went to Costa Rica, and I actually showed up at this ayahuasca retreat wearing a vaxxed hat. I was so confrontational, just like, and even without even talking, I was just an asshole, honestly. It's really, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse. I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know.
you are. Yeah,
That's
we
who I
love
am.
it.
So we're just going to do that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just was. And then my first night of ayahuasca, that really started to fall away. And
Mm.
I had a very rough first night there where I fought that medicine with every single part of all my ego, and that medicine won. So I had my doctor part of me came out and was talking to Mother Ayahuasca, and my doctor was saying, "I don't need you here. There's already a doctor in this body. We don't need you to come in here and tell us what is wrong. Like, back up." And Mother Ayahuasca doesn't really. You can't.
Back
You'll.
off.
Yeah, no. She's in it to win it, and she's gonna win it. So yeah, my ego went down pretty hard, but that's what I needed. So I had a really, yeah, tremendous experience. 4 nights of ayahuasca in Costa Rica, and that changed my life forever. And now I just got certified in psychedelic assisted therapy through the Integrative Institute of Psychiatry in Boulder. There's a year-long training program. I did some further
Congratulations.
training in trauma and internal family systems, and I got certified in ecotherapy. Sorry, I don't know why I just went dim here.
I think it's
Um,
just the backlight there a little.
my
Maybe if
lighting.
you turn it a little away. Oh, there's lights on both sides though. That's
Um,
okay.
yeah, so I got certified in ecotherapy, and I did some training in trauma and internal family systems, and now I opened up a practice called Open Mind Space, which Eric, we share some clients.
Mhm.
And that's been really great to where I do ketamine, intramuscular ketamine for people with various mental health issues. And then I just opened another new company called Skylight Psychedelics, where we do many different things, but primarily we train therapists to provide psychedelic assisted therapy, specifically with ketamine.
Mhm.
And we don't charge a lot of money for it. And it doesn't take a year of your life. You can actually complete it and get certified in a day. But we really kind of focus in and hone in on the what you really need to know in this space, to really provide a good care for these clients and how to hold space for them.
Okay.
And we also are prescribers nationally. So if you're a therapist and you have a client who is a good candidate for ketamine, then they can go to our website, fill out an online questionnaire, basically an in-depth medical history. And if they're a candidate, we reach out to them and do a face-to-face virtual visit. And then we ship them ketamine, sublingual ketamine, and it's to be used only in their therapist's office, not at home. We don't agree with that. And the therapist has to be trained by either our training course or CIIS or IPI. And we really feel it's very important for ketamine to be used in a space where clients feel supported and are safe, and the provider knows what they're doing. So that's something we feel strongly about. I know I'm monopolizing. I'm like just talking and talking, Eric. I'm sorry.
Well, what a journey it's been. It's unbelievable. I'm excited to hear about what I see as a trend that's going on. So maybe, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, people that were in the spiritual space or the healing space sometimes could be, how do you say it? Like, not formally trained in a lot of ways. Like it was a little woo woo, maybe spirituality was, right? And
Mhm.
now I'm starting to see in my own practice, I'm working with lots of Western medicine professionals who are seeing this whole system kind of fall apart.
Mhm.
Not kind of, there's that's what I'm hearing is the Western medical system is kind of falling apart. And they're starting to do what you did, it seems, and they're leaving that system, even though they paid lots of money for their training, say they had lots of
Mhm.
credentials, they did all the right schools, and their families sometimes can't even believe they're leaving that environment. But to hear you say how it just wasn't working for you, it was that part of your journey, is to, this isn't working, I'm going to find something that does work to help people.
Mhm. I mean, every aspect of the hospital system is really needs a. It just needs to be shaken up. It needs to be flipped around. It's just not. I mean, the doctors, right? We're not trained appropriately, really, to handle all the trauma and all the things that we see on a day-to-day basis. We have no support. Sure, you can reach out to employee health and say that you're depressed or you're burnt out, and they can give you some online Zoom thing that will help you, or maybe they'll have you talk to a counselor. But they really don't. We're not prepared for what we see every day. We don't have the tools to cope with what we see every day, and we develop our own coping mechanisms. Self-care doesn't happen for majority, right? I'm not going to speak for everyone, but majority of us, we drink 8 cups of coffee a day. We don't sleep. We eat crap. I mean, and we're inside with these fluorescent lights for at least most of us, like 10 to 12 hours in a day, right? I mean, and then
So you
look at the
directly
patient side.
experience what wasn't working, what's
Right.
not
And then the
working.
patient side is, these patients, just even the hospital building, the structure in and of itself. I mean, there's hardly any light outside. There's hardly any, you can't really go outside. Yep, you're
Right.
locked in there. The food that they give you, how about that? Why is there fried chicken and biscuits on a hospital menu and jello? What is that? Why are we doing this to people? Why is that an option? We need to start changing things.
So when you saw that something is healthy, and you see that something's broken and there's a healthy way, I'm curious, why did you end up going towards mental health?
It just seems like that's the root of many problems. That's the
Yes.
root of many issues and many physical ailments. The root is, the body keeps score, right? Bessel van der Kolk. I mean, that is a real reality. And there are many in the psychedelic space, and Gabor Mate, who believe that many medical problems are caused by trauma and
Right.
something that we're not addressing, we're not looking at.
So this is
It's
back
not
to
all
your going
things,
for the root cause. This
root
is
cause.
if you can get like, so I would say 90, this isn't based on facts, but I've read books and I can't recall, but something like 90% of the stuff we deal with in this Western culture is totally based on unresolved trauma and chronic stress, say, and in our lifestyles. Like only
Yeah, I
10%
mean,
of it is genetic and real problems. So if we can get in there and help people to resolve those traumas and heal, then
right.
the outcomes are going to be amazing. Is that kind of in alignment with how you see it?
Completely, right, completely, and, look at what our society has and what we do, right? We drink alcohol, right, to suppress what we're as a society, we take SSRIs, we drink alcohol, we smoke weed. Listen, I think marijuana is a great medicine when it's used in a very specific place, but
But
I
when it's
think that
used
a
for
lot of
more of the
people
numbing, right? And the
numbing,
not to
it's
address
numbing.
the underlying stuff. I see
Right,
that a lot. Like,
psychedelics are like a missile, and they seek out and they just shine the light right on that work that you need to do. And you don't
right.
even have a choice. It's not like you surrender to the medicine, and the medicine tells you what you need to look at, and it just shines that light on it. And that is it's the most personalized prescription that you can ever get because it is you. It is concierge medicine at its peak, right? I mean, it really, and all of them. I mean, in different ways, but ketamine, psilocybin, even MDMA, ayahuasca, mescaline, iboga. I mean, I could sit here all day and just talk about all of these medicines, but they have the same underlying idea, is that they are like a missile and just seek out what you need to work on.
How wonderful. So I'm curious. I was thinking about the stigma around psychedelics from the 60s, and what my understanding of how it went is psychedelics were starting to help people to get to the unitive experience of love that we all share, that
Mhm,
foundational place beyond ego that is 100% okay and is pure love.
mhm.
And my understanding is a lot of those leaders in that movement started to want to get psychedelics in the mouths of political leaders and big people that have power, because if
Mhm.
they could just have that unitive experience, it would end war and it would change the whole world. And then what, at some point, Timothy Leary, I believe, got called the most dangerous man in America.
Right?
And the
And it's
government really put a negative light on not kind of, they put a horribly negative light on psychedelics. And I
Mhm.
feel like, I wonder if part of mainstreaming this, because you and I are seeing it every day, the benefits. I had one of your clients who sent to me. So if you're listening, Dr. Dana often refers me clients that do the ketamine treatments with her, and then they come to me and I get to process with them their experience they had. And I had one client who was suicidal, pretty serious business, super depressed, and within a couple ketamine sessions, this person couldn't even access the part of her mind that could consider hurting herself. It was beautiful.
Yeah,
So
that's
this
my
is what
favorite.
people in this industry are starting to see again, of as ketamine for now, but as psychedelics are starting to heal people again and being used in this way, it gets very exciting.
Mhm.
And but when you pull in that stigma of the word psychedelics, I'm
Mhm.
curious, what do you think it's going to take to reclaim that word as a good
Yeah.
word? Is
Well,
that what's going
we're
on,
taking
right?
it back. We're
Yeah, because I
taking it back.
noticed your new company is named with
Yeah.
psychedelics right in there, and at
Right.
first I was a little intimidated because I know MAPS and some of these organizations use ethanogens or different
Yeah.
words
Uh-huh.
um, that don't freak people out. But
Right.
I feel like it is time to take the word back because it's not the government made it a bad word, right?
That's right. So
Or a
I
dangerous
felt
thing,
very
which it isn't.
strongly about the word psychedelics being in the name of my company. And my husband was afraid. And I have a business partner in Skylight. His name is Scott Bienenfeld. He's a psychiatrist in New York. And
And just to pop in there, this is part of that trend of what I'm seeing is these incredibly credentialed, high level in our Western culture people like you and
yeah,
him. When I
yeah,
read his bio, I'm like, oh wow, like leaders in our Western
leaders.
culture are saying this doesn't
Yeah,
work, and they're
right.
bringing that credibility into this movement, and that feels really strong to me. By the way,
Yeah, and we all do our own work, right? That's the best part about psychedelics and this work is that most of us have done our own work on ourselves and have used the medicines and don't provide medicines to clients that we have not done ourselves. And that's a really big part of this work. But back to the word psychedelics. So my business partner was afraid at first. We've had a lot of people tell us it's not a good idea from a financial standpoint, right? We have a lot of money involved, personal money involved in this.
Mhm.
But to me, this is who someone has to do this. It is a word, and it is not bad. It means mind manifesting. What the fuck is wrong with that?
Say
Like
that again. Psychedelics means
mind manifesting.
mind manifesting.
Yeah, and sorry, my sunlight is all messed up here.
I know it's hard to see you, and I
Yeah.
would love to see you better.
I mean, the thing that what happens with the government and psychedelics is that when people start taking psychedelics, especially when you start using psilocybin, you start really questioning a lot of things. You start
Mhm.
questioning a lot of institutional regulations and rules and all the different things, and you kind of start actually looking around. Like, what are we really doing here, right? And that's scary for people who want to keep everyone in line, right?
Mhm.
I mean, then they'll tell you a story about how so and so jumped off a roof of a building after they did LSD or something like that. They want to just tell you the exceedingly rare story about someone who got hurt on psychedelics, and that does happen, right? But I mean, look at what happens with alcohol, right? Look at that, right?
I
These
see it every
people
day.
are
Alcohol is a
addicted. They
destroyer
end
of life.
they just it destroys families and people. Just their body. Look what it does to your body.
And
I mean,
I want to throw in there. I have a client right now who is really working to be done with alcohol. It's pretty heavy duty alcoholic situation, and by using um, certain types of psychedelics, she's this person's able to not need alcohol. It's unbelievable.
oh yeah, it is real. And a personal anecdotal story about that is I was never an alcoholic, but I enjoyed going out with friends, and I would have 3 martinis.
Mhm.
I can't. Sorry, one second. My children are running up the stairs. Hey, girls, can you kindly just be quiet for a second? I'm just on a call. Thank you. Shh, shh. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I can't drink alcohol anymore. I cannot drink alcohol. I have no desire for it. I will go out with friends. They're all drinking, and I don't feel like I'm left out, and I don't feel like I'm not fun. I don't need that anymore. And that was after I did ayahuasca.
So this is
Changed.
another reason why we want to eliminate the stigma of the word psychedelics, because when you think about all the damage alcohol does to our culture, if psychedelics can, for some people, reduce the desire at all for alcohol, what a healing thing that is.
It's unbelievably healing. And besides ayahuasca, there's another medicine that has a lot of potential in treating addiction with alcohol and also a lot of substances, and that's ibogaine or iboga. And that is an incredibly powerful psychedelic medicine with remarkable results for people. But when you seek out that kind of treatment, you really have to make sure with any of these treatments, but specifically this medicine, because it can be dangerous if you don't have the appropriate monitoring and evaluation. You really need to go to a place that's licensed and insured, and you have to understand who the providers are really.
Right. So
That's with any medicine.
and with the time we have left, I'm really curious to hear about some of the success stories or benefits that you've seen, because I know people are it's unbelievable the last few years, the resurgence in curiosity around psychedelics and their healing properties and their therapeutic use. Can you name some of the benefits that people might experience if they want to go down that road? Or
Yeah, I think, so one story that I'll share, I'm not going to share his name, but he is my best friend, actually, is a radiation oncologist. And he has suffered from PTSD and depression and anxiety and OCD, actually, for a majority of his adult life. And he had
it is a
failed
very
multiple.
heavy duty part of the medical construct with cancer.
Yeah, radiation
Oncology,
oncology. I
geez.
mean, they see people who are dying every single day of their lives, right? And it is a lot to take in and on. And he failed multiple medicines, SSRIs. He tried every single thing, and just was walking around like a zombie, but also still miserable, just miserable and suicidal. Right? He wanted to die. And he even wrote me a suicide letter.
Wow.
And then he went to ketamine. And after this, everyone is different with how quickly they respond. It doesn't work for everyone. It works for about 80% of people, which is a huge number, right? After his fourth session, he no longer had any thoughts of suicide. So that is someone, and just like the client you were just talking about, our mutual client, what happens to these people is that they can even try to go there in their mind, but there's like a roadblock. They just can't access that thought pattern.
Right.
And I mean,
Well, it's so counter to the truth you experience when you get to have the unit of experience, I would think. It's like you would never destroy the thing that is pure love and unity and goodness.
right. And
I mean, maybe
these,
that's part of it.
right. And I think, it's just it's so amazing to see. I mean, the client you and I were talking about before, her suicidality resolved after one session. And it was so amazing to me to see when her kids came to pick her up. And I just got to see, a mom with her kids and just feeling like, this mom is going to be a different mom now. I mean, and listen, it's not like when people do ketamine, it's like, okay, goodbye, you're never going to come back and everything is great and that everything. I mean, the healing journey is all over the place, right? But it is in this upward trajectory for most people when doing psychedelic medicine. And some people have setbacks and they need to come back for more treatment, and that happens, and that's okay. But those are some of my favorite stories, like personal stories. And
Wow, very cool. So, like, someone you care deeply about, just completely overwhelmed by destructive emotions and close to suicide, and you saw those huge results, and that's like such a testament to what you're bringing to the world. And so,
it's the
if
best. I mean, what's better than that? I don't know.
yeah, if you made it this far in the video, apparently you're very interested in psychedelics and how they can help you grow and learn more about it. So Dr. Dana is going to be at the Awake Festival this September 16th through 18th here in beautiful Evergreen, Colorado. And she's going to do a talk. And it was last year's most popular talk. It was packed because it just people want some new, they definitely are ready for some way that's really going to help to heal us beyond what we've been offered so far, maybe the last 30 years or so since psychedelics have reduced in use. Yeah. So I hope you can come out and meet Dr. Dana in person. And any last thoughts, Dr. Dana? Or?
No, I'm so excited for the festival. I can't wait to be a part of it. I love it. I love when people come talk to me. I love talking to everyone else who works there, and just all the people who come and visit. I just think it's such a great community of like-minded, spiritual, open people who are really looking to address the roots. It's a great community. It's just that's what it's almost like everyone there has that same understanding,
Yes, it's a great community
right?
that we built. Yeah, last year was magical. People were, yeah, I love how you put that there. It is a community of people that are looking for root cause and to heal at a root level and to come back to source and to live from that place, which can only make the
Right.
whole world a better place to be. So we'll see you in September. I'll see you many times before. And thanks
Yes.
for spending a half an hour with me. Very generous of you.
Oh my gosh, I could talk to you forever. I'm sure I'll see you maybe next week.
Cool. Well, I'm going to end this. And oh, yeah, check out just Google Open Mind Space, Evergreen, Colorado, or Skylight Psychedelics to learn more about Dr. Dana. And as always, awakeexperience.com is our location. So thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you, Eric.
Yeah, and I'm going to just end this and we'll sign off here too.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Dr. Dana. Have a great night.
Bye. You too.
Bye.